8% of adults have found a puzzling scar on their body without knowing why or how they came to be. These marks have been used for proof as alien abduction. But can these marks be used as proof for alien abduction? Why are they so strange and puzzling? Could there be hidden messages in the triangles and glyphs and dots? A recent wave of reports of strange triangle body marks from the AlienAbduction subreddit may shed light on these questions. Join me as I explore these triangles as proof for alien abduction or communication from non-human intelligences. Along the way, I'll show you how these puzzling marks are connected to UFOs in more ways than just one. Let's get back to the numbers and how they relate to alien abduction. The numbers came from a booklet published in 1992 called Unusual Personal Experiences, which was a survey performed by the respected public opinion polling center, the Roper Organization. Interestingly, the poll and booklet were funded by the Bigelow Holding Corporation, which is a parent company to Bigelow Aerospace, who received government funding to study UAPs, that's unidentified aerial phenomena, which is the new word for UFOs. Similarly, we have a new word for ETs or aliens, and that's NHI or non-human intelligence. Bigelow's UAP study was the subject of the famous 2017 New York Times article that kicked off the contemporary UAP disclosure movement. Here are the numbers. 13% of people report a period of time they can't account for, and 8% have discovered puzzling body marks. 7% of people have seen a UFO, and 18% of people have woken up paralyzed with a mysterious figure in the room. These numbers led alien abduction researchers to assert that the fragmentary and dreamlike memories of alien abduction are real. In addition, the physicality of the body marks served as proof for alien abduction. The memories, however, of alien abduction are notoriously difficult to retrieve, and researchers turned to the field of hypnosis, which was coming into popularity because of its promise to recover memories of long-forgotten trauma, which has later been demonstrated by science to be an inaccurate promise. We no longer believe that hypnosis can retrieve or reliably retrieve memories. The abduction researchers use these numbers to conclude that around 2% of people, or 3.7 million Americans, have been abducted by space aliens. Even though skeptics critiqued the abduction researchers' conclusions, no one really doubted that the polling organization did a good job. The survey was repeated twice over the next decade so that we can say with confidence that people do discover puzzling scars on their bodies and that researchers use them as proof for alien abduction. Before I explain how a series of recent Reddit posts may shed light on alien abduction body marks, I have to explain why I have been observing this subreddit and similar social media feeds for any report of strange body marks for at least the last year. My obsessive scanning for abduction marks on social media is why I know that the recent Reddit reports are so special. If you don't know already, I'm a hypnotist focused on the missing time event, which is typically associated with alien abduction and extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence contact. I'm so passionate about that I'm now a PhD student writing on the subject, which is why I'm so particular about my literature references and the claims I make. I'm also an experiencer of alien dreams, missing time, and strange geometric body marks, which is why I'm passionate about these subjects. On the summer solstice of 2022, I discovered a geometric series of dots in a line on my leg associated with strange lucid dreams. On the winter solstice that year, a group of dream characters insisted that I learn ruler and compass geometry. They guided me through dreams until I learned enough to use only the ruler and compass to precisely draw the design of the marks. These dream characters include a tall gray extraterrestrial who sat with me and taught me the flower of life, sacred geometric construction, and I wrote about this character in my book, Galithog Legray's Field Guide to Anomalous Geometry. Now I use ruler and compass geometry to discern the design and proportions of body marks associated with intuitions of extraterrestrial or non-human intelligence contact. I also look at UFO shapes, formations, and pulsation patterns. I told my story through the playlist, The Universal Language, which looks into crop circles, body marks, and UAPs as potential sources of geometric communication with non-human intelligences. The connection between body marks and UFOs comes through human-initiated contact experiences, that's HIC, which is sometimes called CE-5. The idea is simple. Aliens, extraterrestrials, or non-human intelligences are reported to be telepathic, so they might actually respond when you use telepathy or intention to invite contact with them. People are using CE-5 or HIC to document their anomalous experiences all over the world. My geometric body mark is just one of many. It turns out that I'm not the only UAP or human-initiated contact experience researcher to find strange geometric body marks after looking into abduction and human-initiated contact. A great example is Jay from the Project Unity channel. He did a human-initiated contact experiment and saw light orb UFOs move in ways beyond his comprehension, which seemed to respond to his thoughts. The next morning, he discovered a large triangular body mark on his arm that he felt was related to the UFOs and the CE-5 the night before. Jay's body mark is a triangle of discolorations that he called scoop marks, a term used by many abduction researchers to describe circular indentations in the skin that mysteriously appear. I analyzed the geometry and found that the size of the dots and the length of the size of the triangle seem to be important numbers. Most people see triangular body marks as equilateral, meaning that the sides of the triangle are equal. But many of those triangles are actually slightly distorted. When I measured Jay's triangle using the width of the dot as a unit, the sides were 5, 5, and 4.3 or so. My calculator actually said 4.32, which is an important number in numerology and sacred geometry. This story, like most alien or NHI stories, is complicated and strange. I'm trying my best to make it simple so I can get to the exciting part, but it is important that you know the context because it connects body marks and UAPs through their geometry. I'm working with a researcher named Jimmy Blanchette to write a book about geometry and human-initiated contact experiences. Jimmy sends out invitations to extraterrestrials or non-human intelligences for contact through a complex radio system and his focused intention. Then he records the sky for any manifestations of UAP or UFOs. The lights often form a geometric figure or pulsate in geometric patterns. Jimmy often receives inspiration from his dreams or downloads from the NHIs that talk about geometry and mathematics. I wondered what it would be like to draw his UAP triangle formations using geometry informed by his downloads. I set out to draw all of his triangles in relationship to a single magnitude, which is the radius of the first circle I make in a drawing. This can then relate all of those triangles to the geometry that he's seeing through a series of harmonic relationships. Hence, geometric harmonics is the working title of our book together. I discovered that a very simple geometric framework based on simple ruler and compass drawing techniques could describe the geometry of his light orb UAPs. After I shared my geometric insight with a collaborator, that collaborator shared a photograph of a triangular body mark that felt very similar to all the posts from Reddit that I was seeing. I wondered what it would be like to apply Jimmy's insights to his UAP footage of triangles and then the recent photographs of all the triangular body marks because of this synchronicity. Would the geometry be similar? Now, I've just told you how the body marks and the UAPs might be connected, but I promise to show you. I am going to show you, but only after you see the recent triangles from Reddit. Take a moment to contemplate what you know about triangular body marks that have been used for proof of alien abduction. A lot of people call them perfect or equilateral, which means that all sides are equal, but there are many types of triangles. Some triangles are really squished, some are symmetrical, and some have special properties that relate to higher mathematics and beauty. What do you imagine is more likely? Option A. All reported alien triangles have similar geometry like equilateral triangles, or in similar proportions so that there are only a handful of triangular shapes or designs in the reports. Or else option B. Each reported triangle is slightly unique so that there are many types of triangles. Option A involves clustering of the reports around specific meaningful triangles, while option B represents a spectrum of triangles, a smear of possibilities. So before I actually measured the triangles, I thought that most of them would be equilateral triangles, but I was surprised they weren't. Remember how Jay's triangle was nearly equilateral but seemed off in a meaningful way? What if all the triangles that people thought were equilateral perfect triangles were shaped like Jay's? If they are the exact same shape or could be drawn in very similar ways, would that be proof they came from similar sources? In a moment, I'm going to show you graphics derived from body mark photos overlaid on a geometric drawing made by using only a ruler, compass, and pencils. If I can make the dots of the body mark triangle line up with the points of the triangle that I drew, then I know that the body mark triangle has the same properties of the triangle I drew. If I can draw every triangle in relationship to the same magnitude, which can represent the number 1, then I can describe all the triangles across all the experiencers using the same system of numbers. In other words, I can draw all the triangles using simple steps using a given magnitude, which is the radius of the initial circle. Here is the geometric drawing for the equilateral triangle. It turns out that equilateral triangles are rare in my survey. Mike Cleland, the OWL and UFO synchronicity researcher, wrote about his equilateral triangle of scoop marks on his blog, but acknowledged that his photos recreated or enhanced the third dot. You can see the dots of his mark at the points of the equilateral triangle, so that you can know that Mike Cleland's mark is actually an equilateral triangle, at least as shown in his recreated photos. Out of the 12 recent triangles from r/AlienAbduction, only one was equilateral. Interestingly, it appeared months after a reported abduction from an experiencer who had many other types of body marks, including the near equilateral triangle and the dots in a line phenomena. 8 out of the 12 Reddit marks were similar or very similar to Jay's nearly equilateral triangle mark, which I've acronymed as NET, or Near Equilateral Triangle. Here is the geometric drawing for the NET triangle. It is a very elegant drawing, and it is related to dividing a line in the golden ratio, which is such an important concept in math and art that it needs its own video. I've abstracted the body marks from the photos, then overlaid them on each other, and then onto the drawing to demonstrate that they are similar. Some don't line up perfectly, but it's incredible that most of the recent triangles on the AlienAbduction subreddit have a similar shape. Interestingly, the one triangle I didn't think would fit because it is so squished appears to be half of the near equilateral triangle. 2 of the 12 triangles were very similar in shape to a triangle described by the 1990s abduction researcher Dr. Karla Turner, who was one of the only major researchers of abduction to also experience alien phenomena themselves. After getting into alien abduction research because of a series of paranormal events with her family and friends, she discovered a triangular mark on her neck that she calls the ET brand. Turner's ET brand can be described just like J's near equilateral triangle using ruler and compass geometry, except that you define the height of the triangles by cutting a different but related line in half. If you're curious how I make these drawings, check out my lecture and playlist, Alien Triangles. The two ET brand triangles from Reddit were people who thought they might be abductees but had no memories of abduction. One experiencer reported symptoms common to abductees like sleep paralysis and UFO sightings. The other reported that the triangles were recurrent, which appeared and disappeared throughout their life. Interestingly, that post was a response to the recent trend of posting triangle pictures to the subreddit. The final recent triangle on AlienAbduction subreddit appeared to be a post by a troll who asked if the mark on the back of their neck was a pimple or alien triangle. The post was downvoted to 0 and received minimal comments. Now let's review the recent trend of posts about triangle body marks and alien abduction. There were 12 with photos that showed up in search from 2018 onwards. 1 was Equilateral, 2 were the ET brand, and 8 were the near equilateral triangle. The odd one out seems to be half of the net triangle, which means that all of the body mark triangles posted to the AlienAbduction subreddit may be described using only 2 different geometric drawings that may actually just be derived from the same figure, the Vesica Pisces. There is a small trend of posting triangle body mark photos to the subreddit. As you can see from this graph, the number of votes and comments about posts involving triangles spiked after 2023, even though those votes and comment numbers had stayed steady since 2021 when the subreddit engagement increased. The recent trend kicked off in September 2023 with the ET brand mark, then was followed up by a triangular burn reported by a paranormal researcher, which is similar to one reported by Karla Turner's husband. Then the net triangle showed up in a photo of a small body mark, which looked very similar to many other abduction marks, such as Amy Rylance's mark. This triangle was posted in response to the observed trend of triangle posts. Then there were both the net triangle and the ET brand triangles right around the time that my collaborator experienced his mark, and I explored my geometric drawings of these triangles. What are the odds that all of these things came together in this period of time? Remember I said that I would show you how body marks are connected to UAPs. I'm almost ready to show you the geometric drawings. I've introduced you to some of the history of alien abduction and described how body marks are connected to alien abduction research and UFOs. I've also shared some of my own story. We saw how all the Reddit body mark triangles could be drawn from the same geometric drawing. Here is the abstract geometric drawing. You can see that one side of the triangle is the radius of the circles used to draw the geometry, which shows you that the triangle can relate to a number system that you can use to compare all of the body mark triangles with each other. You can imagine that it might even contain an alien code. You can draw the near equilateral triangle in 2 different ways. The first way connects it with the geometry of triangular abduction body marks used as proof for alien abduction. The second way connects it with geometry of triangular formations of light orb UAPs filmed by Jimmy Blanchette and part of his math download from the NHIs. Here is the abstract geometric drawing for the light orb triangles and the near equilateral triangle body mark. Both drawings use the same step with only one variation. First, you draw 2 circles on the same radius to make the Vesica Pisces form, which is the name of the intersecting oval shape. The Vesica is often associated with sacred geometry like surrounding the Virgin Mary in icons. Rather than focus on the geometry, we'll just look at the drawings today. Here is the drawing that describes the light orb triangles. Here is the drawing that describes the triangle body marks. And here is a drawing that connects the 2 systems using the near equilateral triangle as a bridge. Confused? Me too. However, this is the connection between body marks and UAPs that I promised you. I believe that this connection is meaningful because I found similar connections between other types of body marks and other light orb UAPs. The other type is the dial mark, which stands for dots in a line. This is the body mark type that I experienced. They're just like the triangles, except that their geometry is placed only on the vesica Piscis radius. That means they're in one dimension, and that the triangles are in two dimensions. The dots in a line mark are also connected with light orb UAPs. Some of the most famous examples are the Phoenix Lights in the 1990s and the celestial phenomena over Nuremberg shown in the famous 16th century woodcut print. Keep watching to dive into the next video or check out the Universal Language playlist through which I documented my discovery of this geometric language. If you found value in this video, please like, subscribe, or comment below as that really helps me. May you dream well.